Sometimes the world just needs a hero to help cut through all the noise.
Well, now you have two.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of your Heroes of Noise. I am one-third of this dynamic trio. My name is Steve.
I am 2/3. My name is Dan. What's happening? Welcome to episode 133. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a return guest. Steve, are you excited? We got a return guest.
I'm very excited. I like how quickly you did that math with the 2/3 thing.
Thank you very much. That's about the extent of my math. That's all I'll be doing for today. But let's get back to the important stuff at hand. We have a guest. Maybe you've heard his music before. Maybe you've heard of Farooq. If not, you should. I don't know why you haven't. However, if I may, Steve, take the honor of just introducing this young man, this young upstart here, this fire that's about to explode. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you Daniel Dominguez to the Heroes of Noise show. What's happening, brother?
Blind. Of noise. That's my jam. Oh, you know, just out here. Call me Young Beans and Rice because there's a lot on my plate, I guess.
Jesus
Damn.
Christ. Will you stop it?
This guy already, Steve.
There is lag because I'm saying good jokes and it takes 3 seconds like you guys are slow or something.
Right.
This is just like my work meetings via Zoom right now.
I mean, you know what? The thing is that podcasters have been dealing with this shit a lot longer than 2020 when everyone had to get used to the Zoom. You know, the only difference with this is that I'm not getting up to take a leak and you're watching me do it because I forgot to turn the camera off. But
Whoops.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll work with this. Not a problem. This is 2020, ladies and gentlemen. There's been a lot worse shit happening in the world. We can deal with a little bit of audio lag.
Oh, Jesus.
Absolutely.
I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's the zombie apocalypse, isn't it?
You know, I don't believe it is, Steve. I don't believe it is the zombie apocalypse.
I've
been thinking about it because you say that often.
Oh, let's do it.
I'm just saying, you say it often.
Uh-huh.
It's the zombie apocalypse, but I feel like this is a, dare I say, a temporary situation?
No.
No, you don't think so? Have you given up all hope?
No, here's what it is. We have been standing atop dead bodies trying to get out of the grave. And now the dead bodies are walking around. So it never was good. We just didn't know how bad it was. And now we're like, oh, there are living dead bodies now. So now we're just seeing it. And we will now be seeing those bodies forever because in 2021, they're not going away. So yeah, it's now the zombie apocalypse. And we just have to deal with that and figure out maybe there's other countries with no zombies walking around. That's all.
If I may add my third.
Sure, please.
All right. So.
Oh.
Hey, thanks for coming on, Dan. Appreciate it.
Okay. So you said, Dan, you said it's temporary, and Steve said it's not temporary.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is it could have been temporary if we had been able to take the same action as the rest of the world did. However, this country and its stubbornness has not. So it's not temporary because nobody ever settled the hell down and stayed home. The government didn't take care of us and send us food and PPE and all those other things. They gave us a $1,200 check and said, vote for me again. And so it should be temporary, but it's not. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I will say this. What you're talking about with the check and the coronavirus, that's the equivalent of the smell of the zombies. So it's a symptom, and that makes us know that the zombies are there, but it does nothing. We just are now like, oh, snap. Turns out there's also zombies behind this. We are now just faced with the real problems of this country. And those problems aren't going away. That's just going to be there. It's just the coronavirus was just a symptom of the issues, and it just puts it in spotlight. And a lot of people that are already, like I said, I'm on the Late Show. A lot of people that are already doing all this work are just like, yeah, been that way for some time. Like, oh, crap, you're right. So, yeah, I know Daniel was looking at, hitting me up with some Swedish information. I was like, dang, Sweden? Lord have mercy, that's far.
We're not going to drive there.
Gee, but that is like Daniel's making a point. He's not just leaving. He's like, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I'm not saying I'm going. I'm not against looking around.
Yeah, neither am I. But I think Steve's going.
Oh, I'm going. but probably Canada, dude.
I was going to say, Steve's going to end up in Canada. Called it.
Yeah, I got to tip I know Michael is just like, really? That's what you call moving away? Because he came, he's like, yeah, I guess that's far, but it's not far. So it's like I'm tipping my toe into, learning how to do this and get the visas and all this stuff. And then from there, who knows? But we're a few generations away from people that used to always leave. Like, these jazz artists that go to freaking Paris for a while and here for a while.
It's true.
That is true. Nina Simone's like, I'm out. I'm dipping. She just went to Paris for how long? Like the rest of her career for the most part.
I just talked about her and you to someone else. I think I told my mom, I was like, do you know Dan got to see Nina Simone in concert? And she was like, what? I'm like, that's what I'm saying. How weird is that?
That was good shit, dude.
That's
something
crazy.
I don't ever forget. You know what I mean? You can't forget that one.
That's insane to me. I don't think you don't actually talk about that enough. That's crazy.
Well, I talked about it a lot when it happened. And somewhere I still have the recording of it too. But it's mostly just Gail and I drunk as shit going like, woo, the whole time.
That's even more interesting.
If I was to go back in time and sit next to us as different people, I would be pissed. Because everything was just like Gail's crying the whole time. Every time a song comes on, she gets all excited. I'm just like, yeah, it was bad.
Oh, look at Gail. Now, you know what? Crying is okay, unless it gets really down and out. Other than death and sickness, Daniel, when's the last time you cried? Nothing with death and sickness, though. Like in just normal life.
I'm crying a lot more lately. It's a trip. Here we go. It's about to get deep.
Oh boy, that's
here we go. Well, in the music making process right now, everything has been so crazy, and I've like evolved and gotten so much better. And I'm actually seeing like that. I'm like realizing my dreams that I had since I was a kid, and it gets really freaking intense. And so they're like happy tears, but like while I was producing the EP for JD Garza, there was a few times where like the harmonies just hit so good that I cried, or the songs just came together so well that I put my head down and just cried. And I was telling the guys, because we were all having these experiences going through this song. This was new for us. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we're all going to cry at some point, right? And we're like, yeah, except for Hobby, because he's a stone wall. He's a mountain of a man. So he won't cry in front of people. But JD got his cry on during a song or two, and so did I. And then during the mixing process too. So that was last month. And then this month, working on the Farooq songs, the ones that I sent you guys, I sent you both different songs too. It's the one you had trouble opening.
It's good, dude.
Because I'm old really and I don't understand Google Drive.
Will you stop it?
I just learned about it this year, man. Cut yourself some slack.
For real, it's not as easy as it seems. Like there's definitely, I mean, once you get schooled, not schooled, but when someone goes, hey, dummy, hit this button, everything's fine. But until then, I'm like, I don't know.
How would you have possibly been able to figure it out? I never figured it out. It took somebody else to tell me too.
What are we talking about?
Me crying, being hella emo?
No, I'm talking about to having a problem opening something. I was like, what?
Well, I want to go back to this crying thing because Daniel just gave us a very heartwarming story about why he cries.
No, Steve wants to hear about how to use Google Drive on his phone instead.
Yeah, because that's what everyone wants to hear. No, we want to hear about the singer of a hardcore band crying.
Yes.
Now, Steve, I want to know, when's the last time you cried? Because you, to me, are like a Vulcan. I can see you watching Schindler's List and being like, yeah, that's what happened.
That's just wow.
I'm just saying. That's what I can say.
Wow. I would say probably last week.
You cried last week?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I cried on like Friday.
Why are you crying on Friday?
I listened to the whole side B of Abbey Road, and at the end when it was like, and in the end, like the last thing they recorded, and it made me cry.
Really? I think you're making that one up.
I'm dead serious.
It's a music thing, man.
I hadn't listened to it for so long, and I'm just like, this is the end. It's like knowing that they also put that plaque outside Abbey Road with that quote on it, and in the end, the love. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, man. What a career. Like, Lord, just give me the Beatles career, and I'll be fine.
That is quite the punctuation for their career.
It's a beautiful, and the fact that it just ends there. It's like, hey, this is it. Oh, Jesus, man. I mean, there is no question they're the most important group in history. It's not a question. And it just made me cry.
I can't wait to piss you off.
I wish you would.
No, I won't. Let's keep it serious.
Thank you.
It's music that's making us cry.
Very much.
I'm in the Farooq studio, realizing my dreams, like sitting there in a dedicated music space, creating music that's in my head and making it into something, and it makes you cry. Yes. You're listening to this piece of music and thinking about a whole career, and you see the how poetic it is, and it makes you cry.
Absolutely.
Fire.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
It's that inspiration.
It is beautiful, but also I have to realize that I realized my dream when I had my son. I just didn't know it was my dream. And so everything else after that was just a pale in comparison. Everything else after that.
That makes a lot of sense.
I didn't realize it, but it's just like everything else, it takes so much more for me to get there because that moment was it. And so everything else was kind of downhill after that.
Everything sucked after that.
Well, that was I thought I had loved things. And now when I'm just like, I love that. It's not even a.
Are we getting real? Because I'll get real with you. Like,
go ahead, Dan.
I'm just saying, I totally understand that, man. Because I remember it was a matter of about 30 seconds from the time of being in the delivery room and anticipating the birth of a child to seeing the actual child being birthed. Where I'm like, oh, there's a whole bigger picture going on here.
Bro, thank you.
This is one of the most beautiful, albeit grossest things I've ever seen, but it's beautiful at the same time. It's not a pretty sight. I don't give a shit what anyone says. It's beautiful, the babe. No, that shit is horrific.
Yes.
Speaking of horrific, these movies you guys made me watch.
Daniel, how dare you? Okay, that could mean two things. That could mean bad or just gory.
Yeah, you guys are talking about this horrible scene, but it being the most beautiful thing you've seen. Like, that happens. Now just thinking about all this gore I had to watch.
Oh, there we go. Well, you're not a person that enjoys the gore.
I'm not a person.
You're not a person that enjoys watching film and TV, right?
I can enjoy it.
Hey, Daniel, can you do me a favor and swallow a little bit?
You beat me to it. I'm like, Daniel, can you please just go ahead and turn up your microphone and then just go ahead and continue swallowing like that?
You're the only person that literally says gulp when you drink. Come on, dude. Gulp.
I'm sorry. It's this high quality. You know what? I should switch my audio to my laptop instead. You're right. So then I won't get this.
I'd still be able to hear it.
There's lots of shade.
This
dude is like, I'm on a podcast. How can I eat and drink something louder?
My
bad. Like, I thought that I knew it all until I joined Farooq. And the first time we got in the studio. Excuse me, bud. Yeah, it was very important lesson learned, life lesson. Why don't you just make bong sounds with what you're drinking?
You guys want to go with me to the bathroom now?
This episode of Heroes of Noise is brought to you by Sanka.
Don't edit it out. Make sure people hear what we're talking about.
Oh, you know this, Steve. Come on now.
This is now an ASMR episode, and I had no idea.
Jeez, seriously.
That's the one way for your host to let you know that you're making a little bit too much noise.
Hey, how did you know about ASMR, bro?
What do you mean?
Steve thinks that everyone lives under rocks and that we don't pay attention to the stuff he does.
I know, but I'm saying, like, what brought you to that, Daniel? Like, were you YouTubing or something, or did someone tell you about that?
Kind of a part of pop culture now. If you listen to podcasts or comedy or taking any media that came after 2007.
What if we did this entire rest of the podcast with ASMR?
I mean, I kind of was a step ahead of you guys, but I guess you don't appreciate it.
Because some of the audiobooks I read, they purposely narrate it like that. So they'll do like their lip smacking and stuff. And I'll go on reviews and they're like, yeah, it was a great ASMR narration. I was like, oh, Lord, is this going to be a thing now where people are doing whole books like this?
It's part of sound design. I was noticing I had the headphones in watching a couple of those movies and there was some stuff like that. And I was like, ooh, this feels good for my ears.
You like the sound of ASMR?
I don't know what the hell ASMR exactly means, but like, to me, isn't it just like extreme sound design? Like, what does it mean? I know what it is.
No, ASMR is when you talk very softly so that your mouth makes a lot of noise. And a lot, like when you just go to videos to hear someone chewing something.
Oh, hell no. ASMR. I thought it was just like sound shit.
No, dude. No.
To keep it technical.
It stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response.
And so when you're like, all that.
Oh, that's a big no.
Like, talk.
That's a big no. And I apologize for doing that.
That's ASMR.
I apologize for doing that on your wonderful podcast. I can't believe it.
We can hear the post-nasal drip.
I'm so embarrassed.
You guys are going to be lucky to know that I'm on muscle relaxers today. So this should be fun.
Oh, boy.
What?
Yeah. Oh, I threw my back out, man.
Did you sneeze?
No. I remember I was telling you about that one pain where it's like I breathe.
That still?
Yes. It's not my spine. It's like a torn muscle, but it's like it's got me like I feel like I'm in like a full Nelson or something. And if I just move the wrong way, like there's a very good chance I'll be talking today and you're going to hear, ha, you know what I mean? Because I'm like feeling it's very tense. Yeah, don't get too turned on.
This guy got all the wrestling moves now.
Let me see here real quick. Let me just do my sound check.
Cocaine.
All right, we're good to go. Steve, what you working with over there?
Cocaine.
Right on, let's do it.
Are you on muscle relaxers or are you on
cocaine? Oh, damn.
There you go.
Steve hates that. Steve hates when I get samples of his voice.
I love it, actually. I don't think I sound like that. I think you do something to it.
I actually got rid of the one where you said the C word, Steve. I didn't.
He likes those C words. I was about to say he really likes the C words.
I never said. And Stephen Merchant ever so often will like DM me and be like, "Remember when you said that word?" I'm like, "I didn't." Like, I remember.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I'm like, "Come on, G, from Australia? That must be a thing." He's like, "I remember though."
It is a very Aussie and like British word.
It is. It is a. Well, then again, Buck said no, they don't do it out there.
Maybe
he made it sound like do not say it, period.
Well, battle rap just desensitized me to everything because if you watch like UK battle rap or dudes from like Scotland or Ireland, like it's like any other word to them.
Oh, for sure. And they're trash. I don't know why people watch UK battle rap. It's
Scottish people battle rap?
Dude, it sounds horrible.
I love it. The humor is so different.
Of course, you're very supportive, but
no, I'm not supportive. I found certain things to like about it.
Yeah, when I listened to Homeboy, I forgot. I don't know if he's Indian or black. That one UK dude everyone loves. He battled Arsenal, was it, or did he battle? Anyway, I'm just like, I would love for you to be dope if you didn't have that UK weirdness to it.
You're standing there drinking a bottle of scotch. You really should be playing with me crotch.
Whoa. Don DeMarco.
I hear what you're saying, and I like it a lot. But your mom's got me confused with her big headed twat. Okay, I'm done.
Oh, sorry. That's not bad. That was actually not bad. That was dude. I need to send you the video of Daniel battle rapping.
Doing what?
Why?
Daniel got a battle rap on YouTube.
Well, then why is this not something that we're playing right now?
Because I forgot to send it to you.
Because it's 10 years old and irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant. Never to me. When you sent it to me, I was like, oh my God.
That was 10 years ago.
You sent it to me like 2 years ago, G.
Maybe.
Dan, you'd like it. You know what shocked me though?
What's that?
When Daniel was like, this nigga right here. I was like, whoa. I was like, Jesus Christ. You're like, it was of the time. And I totally understood.
You're just going to lie on me like that? I know I got my soft A pass when we were at rehearsal, by the way. I just never used it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you haven't used it.
It was a compliment to have it, but it's even more of an honor if you have it and don't use it.
I don't even have a soft A pass.
I don't have any other slur pass. I don't think black folks get that.
Why not?
We can't just walk around saying other folks is, except for like, no other person of color do we just call like stuff. As far as I don't know a pass that we get. And I never gotten a pass.
What's the latest slang for like for Hispanic people? Like
a cool one? None.
I don't think that we have anything as cool as this. I'm just going to call it the soft A. Like, I don't think anybody has anything that cool. Like, that's like part of pop culture. That's so cool that white people want to steal it.
Yeah, that's a very weird territory to be in because on one hand, it's like the worst thing you can say. On the other hand, depending on who says it, it's a term of endearment. And on the other hand, it's kind of cool if you put it into songs. On the other hand, it's not. So, dude, I think it's just something that we should stay away from.
Like we talked about really early in the pod. There's just it's so many meanings to it. Like if me and my fellas are talking, I don't even have to say anything but that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. If they're just like, man, did you see that girl? And I was like, nigga.
And everyone knows what you're talking about.
I remember that episode.
It's an all-encompassing word. But again, I heard you guys kind of talking. Yeah, in LA, no one got the pass.
No.
We didn't give, like, if someone said it to us, it was, we don't care what other nationality it was fighting.
Yeah.
But I guess in other cities, there's like a pass. Like when I heard folks of other cultures using it, I was like, what the? Then again, we kind of got into it years ago when Be Real started using it. There was like a big thing about that.
Oh,
yeah,
with Insane in the Membrane?
Yeah, and we were like, he can't say that.
Yeah, I remember when he said that, I'm like, ooh, Be Real?
Yeah, we were mad. But then here in Fresno, everybody's like, yeah, it's cool.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I see it a lot. Like what Daniel's saying, I see it with like older Mexican dudes. I see it, actually younger Mexican dudes too.
Yeah.
Asians, Mongs, you know what I mean?
More Mongs, man, they're out of control. They be saying it more than... They've said it more than the brothers I know.
Yeah.
But now, you know what's scary is I think now people are way more conscious of when Black folks are around if they're so loose in saying it. I don't get like the people that that would. Well, I don't know because I've never had another culture say it around me, except in a derogatory word when I was in the white area. But I've never heard like another culture be like, "What's up, nigga?" I've never had that before.
Yeah.
What about what you wrote right now?
Well, that was a play on it. I think it's close though. I think it's a very close.
That's Diet Soft A.
Fisher Price, my first N-word.
Yeah, if I was in and I was just like, "What's up, nyucka?" I would get fired. Even if I tried to be like, "Hold on, I meant it," like they'd be like, "Oh no, we don't play."
This is implied. It's that implied.
It's implied.
You don't make the rules, Mr. Hudson.
Yeah.
Oh, it wouldn't.
You don't make the rules for your own word.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be a meeting. They'd be like, "There's no need to have a meeting. Your last check is being mailed, and it was fun having you for 20 years."
Sheesh.
Yeah, it's been 20. G. I was just starting when I met Daniel.
So back to it. Yeah, we don't make the rules for that.
There is no other. You're right, though. There is no. I know in Australia there is, but it's a derogatory word. So even then, it's not a. I don't think Aboriginals call each other that.
They should, though, right?
No.
God damn it.
That's what I'd be against. I'd be like, "Hey, bro, this is your land." So don't.
I feel like in that same vein, the term "bruh" is like being like replaced. Like, you know how like you were saying you don't even have to say anything, you could just say that and your homies will get it.
Oh, yeah.
Like now
For
you could just be like bruh. Like it's the same thing and it's nobody's being pissed off and I love it. I think that's
truthfully only people of color can say it right.
Oh, facts.
I think it's a universal thing where it's like, wow, we found a word that everyone can say correctly, except like I've seen white folks do it. I'm just like,
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Let's go back to like the early 80s, late 70s. You'd hear a lot of, "Hey, bro," from white guys on TV shows because it was still like a racial, "Hey, my bro," and you know that they were being racist, right?
Or Jack. Yeah.
Or Jack.
Jack.
Yeah. Say,
Really, Jack?
Jim. How about Jim, though? Remember Jim?
I don't remember Jim.
Jim was big in the 70s. Say, Jim.
Jack was derogatory?
No, it was like making fun of black people. Come on, Jack. That thing.
So I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't in the right circles, but I seem to recall bro, B-R-O, going away for a very long time. Then it resurfaced, and then it became bro. Like, "What's up, bro?" Like all the Kyle.
They're a thing now. It's
all the Kyles and Erics are like, "Bro, what's up, bro?" And then I noticed recently on Twitter, social media and such, now it's back, but it is bruh. But like it's now used like men say it to women all the time, like, "Bro, what are you doing?" You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen this?
Yeah, I'll get in trouble for that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a whole
Oh,
thing.
you know what else I learned?
What's up?
Don't call a woman a female.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Since when?
My whole life we'd be like, "Man, I used to talk to this female." We've always said that.
They don't like that.
Shall we revisit the C word debacle of 2007 or whatever? Whenever I don't know when it happened.
Hey, wait, Daniel, you don't say female? You don't say, "Look at that female"?
Nah, bro, but I'm also not 50. I love y'all, man.
I'm all quiet. I don't say anything.
By the way, I said 50 to not insult you guys. I overshot it.
That is
thanks for overshooting by 2 years. Appreciate that.
Oh wow, damn, that's true. G.
Hey, you guys could probably still whip my ass though. I'm so out of shape. It doesn't matter how old.
Will you stop it? Here you go. You're not supposed to be in shape.
What? How does
You're
that?
a music producer.
Dude, that Timbaland clip when he's showing Jay-Z and the Fade to Black DVD, he's showing him the beats and stuff, and he's like,
yeah, he's drinking that gallon of Tampico.
Yeah, he's shaped like Rikishi and shit in that clip.
That's what you're supposed to look like.
No, because I saw interviews with him afterwards, and he's like, I had to get it together after seeing that video. That was my rock bottom, and now he's shaped like The Rock. He's out here with a big gray beard and all kinds of muscles.
No, dude, he got surgery. Let's just calm down.
Who drinks Tampico? That's the thing I'm still.
That stuff was so good. It has crack cocaine in it. I used to drink it glass after glass after glass, dude.
Tampico is short for Tampico cocaine.
Oh, nice. Gee, you don't drink Tampico, Dan?
No, it was way too sweet.
So good, dude.
That's what they call. That's the drink, though, right?
Territory there, man.
That's where you get into like orange and grape drink, right? Because it's just like a drink. It's not a juice. It's Tampico, right?
It's definitely Mexican grape drink.
Yes, for sure. If I go to a friend's house, I'll know if they don't have Tampico, I'll come back without a drink and they'll be like, oh, we know what you were looking for. Because I'll be like, okay, that's some juice. And I'll go in there and if they don't have that, I'll come back empty handed. They'll be like, oh.
What the fuck is juice?
It gets all quiet in the front room. It's like what? I forgot to buy Tampico. He's going to shit. There's no Tampico in the refrigerator.
Yeah, I'll come back and be like, oh, I wasn't specific enough. I didn't want something to drink.
When I start booking shows for you, we'll put Tampico on your rider.
There we go. Hey, listen. And then I'm going to have a Triton, an old Triton. I still got my Triton, by the way.
Of course you do.
Oh, gee.
Do you have the VHS? Do you have the VHS that goes with it?
Very funny.
Fucking Herb.
I do have floppy disks.
Ew, that sounds like a personal problem.
I still got floppy disks. And the funny thing is they have a big old, they had a massive article about how the Triton changed the sound of music because everyone used it so much. They're like, it changed, the whole music industry changed when that thing came around.
It was corny.
And I still use it for a MIDI controller.
What's a Triton?
It was a $2,000 keyboard when it came out in 2001.
So like production
$2,000
station,
at
right?
the time was a lot. Yeah, it was a work. You could do everything. It was what Timbo used. If you see that clip with him and Jay, it's what the Neptunes used. Tim for all boo boo, all that crap. And it was like the thing to get. So I got one. And then I did all of Keisha's album on the Triton.
That album was fire.
That sound was so bombarded that you can't even use a Triton sound now. People be like, oh Lord, it sounds like 1999. We got to get rid of that crap.
It was the big flex. Is like, we got a Triton. Mm-hmm. And the other one was like the run right under it. Was it under it? The Roland Phantom? Was that under it or above it?
That was right. That was like yes, it was right under it. But it was like, to sound different, you get the Phantom. But here's one that never went away. The MPC has stuck around till now.
That's because the stock sounds are not really a thing. It's a sampler.
But I just think it's a bad practice to learn on one.
Oh my God. I did learn it. I learned how to use an MPC. It was bad
I don't think
times.
it's good practice.
It sucked.
I think it's an interesting way of doing things. If you want to learn how to take 80 minutes to do something you could do on a computer in 3.
It's true. Imagine Dan, imagine recording this podcast on like tape reels, like basically, and then having to edit it like off 3 different tapes, like and splice them together and mix them.
Where's my scissors and Scotch tape?
And then imagine having to look for drums that you sampled and not knowing where they are.
Oh my!
You're like, I think it's on this. Wait, I think it's on. I'm like, dude, who would want to do that?
It's crazy.
Now, who would want to do that?
I literally just search now. I have a search bar in Studio One. I'm spoiled.
It's so nice. Wait a minute, Dan, weren't you supposed to be making some beats?
Yeah, that ain't happening anytime soon.
Okay, all right, okay.
All right, guess what? We're back. We had some issues. I don't know what's going on, but we had to actually restart. We had to restart the recording. I'm sorry. Let's continue. Gentlemen, I think we have movies that we should be talking about. We gave Daniel homework. We watched 3 different movies. They're all spooky ones because it's Halloween and such. But before I do so, let me go ahead and give the contact information. Would that be okay?
Yes.
Yo, what's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show with the most technical difficulties that has ever been podcasted. My name is Dan. If you want to get a hold of the show, hit us up at heroesofnoisepodcast@gmail.com. That's heroesofnoisepodcast@gmail.com. On Twitter, hit us up at Heroes of Noise. You can reach me, Dan, at DanQPublic, and Steve Hudson at SE_Hudson Music. Go to www.heroesofnoise.com, and there you can leave us a voicemail. You can subscribe to the shows. You can pick up some merch. You can subscribe to our friend shows. I don't know. Maybe I'll hide a little naked picture of Steve somewhere. If you guys can find that, I'll give you a prize. That's what I think I'm going to do. Yeah, you know what? Matter of fact, I'm going to do that for sure. Until then, go over there and do what I told you to do, because I'm asking, but I'm kind of telling you at the same time. Fair enough? Let's turn it back to Mr. Steve Hudson.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is time to get into some of our spooky movies, our spoomies.
Spoovies, I believe, would be what you're looking for.
Maybe mookies. That sounds racist.
This is
Anyway,
all going
Mookies?
in a bad direction.
Yeah, I think
Mookie sounds racist.
yeah, because a mook is a
Oh,
yeah.
I never heard that one before.
I think
Mook? I think you're making shit
I
up.
think it's racist, bro.
As in M-O-O-K?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta look real quick because I think you just made something up.
I might put Italian racist mook.
Let's see. A stupid or incompetent person is a
Yes.
mook.
Okay, good. Never mind. It's not
So
racist.
hold up. Let's see here. Urban
Here's the
Dictionary,
one.
though. Italian American short form for malouk, motherfucker. A person of little social standing, one not worthy of respect. So we're okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think that's right. So you'd be like, hey, what are you mookies doing over here? And it sounds bad, but it's really not that
Yeah, it
bad.
sounds horrific.
It's
It
like
does
saying
sound pretty
MFer.
Oh, shit.
So-
Hey, Steve, let me ask you a question on this here. We're going to work something out on the show real quick because I
Yeah.
kind of forgot about this and I'm not sure if I should jump the gun yet. So
Okay.
I'm going to talk to you. I'm talking to the people out there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a contest that's going to be coming, a giveaway. We've got some good stuff. Steve, I need to ask you, I don't have the merchandise that I will be giving away in hand. However, it is coming from New York. Is it safe to go ahead and do the contest now, or should we wait until the Halloween show?
Being that right now the post office is bombarded, I don't know when you would get it.
Yeah, see, I was
That's
already
the only
supposed to
problem.
have it. Tell you what, I'm not going to until I have product in hand.
There we go.
It's going to involve the Video Palace series, guys. So if you guys are into that, if you listened to the podcast before, they have a sequel book out now, and it's called In Search of the Eyeless Man. I have some copies that I'm going to be giving away, but I don't have them in hand just yet. But just to kind of get it out there, let you guys, pique the interest a little bit. If you were into the podcast, the book's awesome. There's an audiobook version as well. And since I don't have these things, I'm going to wait and I'll kind of refine the contest a little bit. So listen up. Episode 134, our Halloween show, the Geek Out Freak Out. That's where I'm going to give everything away. Hopefully that is. All right, Steve, let's go.
Okay, so we did, like you said, Dan, we did give Daniel some homework. Daniel, we're going to leave it on the guess. What movie would you like to review first?
Good question.
Let's do the last one I watched, which was The Wolf of. Help me out here. The Wolf of
The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Okay.
Sounds like you loved it. Let's talk about it.
It's the freshest one. I have to unlock my brain for the rest of them.
The Wolf of Snow Hollow. This came out 2020. It's been a long year. Lots of stuff has happened in 2020, but this was one of those things. Terror grips a small mountain town as bodies are discovered after each full moon. Losing sleep, raising a teenage daughter, and caring for his ailing father, Officer Marshall struggles to remind himself there's no such thing as werewolves. This is directed by Jim Cummings, written by Jim Cummings, and also stars Jim Cummings, Ricky Lindholm, Robert Foster, and a whole bunch of other people. Actually, it's Forster. I messed up. Oh, and Chloe East. Let's throw her in too. Tell you what, I'm going to sit back. I want to hear what Daniel has to think about this.
All right.
Daniel, now you watched it yesterday, so it should be pretty fresh in the memory.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was pretty dope. I'm so sorry. I'm not I've never reviewed a movie.
That's why I started with you first.
Thanks. Set the bar low. I really enjoyed how it was put together and getting to play the whole whodunit game, seeing all the investigations, trying to figure it out myself. I think that's probably why movies exhaust me and stuff, is because I'm trying to figure it out from the first scene. I'm like, ooh, what's going to happen? And I'm not excited what's going to happen. I'm actively working to figure out what's going to happen. And this one got me. I didn't figure it out. I'm trying to be nice since it came out in 2020 and not spoil, but like being somebody who doesn't really watch anything horror or gory themed, it really worked for me. Like I do have trouble with some of those things sometimes, and it didn't bother me. I rocked with it. And to steal a page from your book, I'll give it 3 out of 5 seam rippers.
Nice.
Like it.
Now, did you rock with it all night?
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. I'm sorry, Steve.
I mean, you know what? I was kind of on one side, so I more leaned with it, rocked with it.
You guys went to two different songs.
You know, I was just wondering though, like Steve got the joke right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why did you roll your eyes? You knew it. You knew it was coming.
I did not.
I did not know
that was a surprise. I
can tell when Steve rolls his eyes just by his voice. It's the product of recording with someone for 4 years.
He looked at you in that tone of voice.
I like what you did there, Daniel. That was pretty brilliant. That was very, very clever. That's why you're a battle rapper.
I'm not a battle rapper.
Works for me. Steve, what did you think, buddy?
So I started this movie and immediately, since I work in a very, it's an empty, big office space. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and Dan did not tell and the funny thing is not to ruin it, but the title kind of gives away what it is. But in my brain, I'm like, oh, it's probably referring to something. I'm thinking it's referring to something that is, tangentially aligned with whatever the product of the title is. And so I'm sitting there watching, and all of a sudden I see a thing, and I'm like, oh, Dan. Is this the thing I don't like? And here's what I love about this movie. It has the comedy I like. It has Steve comedy. Like, very dry. The main dude is right. He just goes so over the top. He goes so over the top reactionary. And I remember I text Dan when he was just like, you should have gone into computer science because you are a sucky detective. I was like, this is really good. It's my sort of comedy. And the ending sticks the landing. Like, I'm like, I didn't see that coming. Wow, that's very smart. I don't know what the very end means. There's a thing that happened where he gives kind of a look, and I'm like, I wonder if that refers to something I might have missed during the middle. But either way, I really, really, really like this movie. As in, if I didn't have more work to do, I told Dan I would have started it over and just started watching it all over again, because I genuinely liked how he wasn't a dunce. He maybe went over the top sometimes, but there was a point where normally when you first see what he's after, a person freaks out. That is not what he did. He did not freak out. He got out the car and handled that business. And I was like, okay, this guy's like, I see why they hired him. I get it. And Robert Forster, we're going to miss him. He was so good. I mean, it just takes me back to Jackie Brown, and I'm just like, oh, he's gone. So, good movie. I would give this 3 out of 5 Halloween zip-up suits.
All right. Now, Robert Forster, he died this year, right?
Yes.
Last
year. This year or last year.
I was thinking about that, and something didn't seem right because I was looking at him. And in this movie, he does look fairly frail. Like, you can tell he's definitely aged quite a bit since the last time we saw him. But I'd forgotten that he died, and I was thinking, man, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And then you just reminded me right now that he did in fact die. So, see, I told you. I will tell you that for whatever reason, I had trouble watching this movie, Steve. Like, I tried 3 times to watch this movie, and it had nothing to do with the content of the movie. There's just sometimes in this house where we've had this conversation before. You start the movie, and you're starting to get into it. Let's just say we're at the scene. Like, this is how far I got into it before I had to stop it the first time, was the very first murder scene that has to do with like a cabin and the temperature of the water and such. And immediately I sit down and I'm watching this. I'm like, okay, here we go. Now it's time to get busy. And then like someone comes in and wants to talk to me about whatever. And then another person comes in and wants to talk to me. So I'm distracted to begin.
Oh, totally. I get it.
You know what I mean?
I get that.
So I just couldn't do it. So I turned it off again, tried again. Third time I got it. So I watched it yesterday. It's still pretty fresh in the brain. And I will tell you that I'm glad that I stuck with this one. It's definitely the type of movie that I don't feel is like, I don't even know if it's necessarily a horror movie. To me, it seems more like a thriller in a way, because it's sort of without giving anything away, it's sort of dressed as a horror movie, but it may not be that. It's more like
I see what you did there, Dan.
Oh, you like that? Thank you. What'd I do? Oh yeah, I know what I did.
That was kind of a hacky joke.
The joke didn't really have teeth. You like that?
Oh my God, here we go.
Well, I hope it suits you.
Oh! Game
right.
over.
We have a winner. We have a winner.
We good?
I concede. See, he has to do that to shut us up.
Jesus, that was good. Wow.
Let's talk about Jim Cummings for a second, because I've never seen this guy before. And I got to tell you, he puts on a hell of a performance. The first couple times that I watched it, I wasn't really taking him seriously. And I don't know if you guys caught this, but he has a Jim Carrey thing that he does. Did anyone else catch that at all? Like certain faces he makes and certain body mannerisms, particularly at the end, like he really had like this Jim Carrey way about him, not a zany way. It's just his body language, basically. And what I like about the story is it really kind of doesn't back away from the inner struggle that this guy's going through. I mean, he's got a lot on his plate. He's got murders happening in his town. He's got his father who's I don't know if he's about to go, but he's clearly ready to retire. He's ailing. He can't keep up with things, and he's got a bad heart. So he's worried about his heart. You know, he's dealing with a divorce. He's dealing with trying to basically make good with his daughter, who is very, very bitter about things. Obviously, it's one of those divorce parental type situations, but he's got a lot going on. But on top of all of that, he's also dealing with this massive drinking problem. And you don't really know how deep he is until there's a certain scene where some mouthwash is involved. You're like, okay, my man's got a serious issue. You know, so it's like the third time it really took me to like watch him and realize that, oh, this is a guy that's just ready to explode. Like he's a ticking time bomb, basically. You don't know when he's going to go. He's doing his best, which is probably his worst because he's hurting himself, but he's doing the only thing that he can to like control that drinking.
Yes.
And it's not working out very well after a certain part. So, you know, he really dives into his work. And I got to say that the way that this movie plays out, I'm changing the subject, the way that this movie plays out and you see the various murders that take place in this town, I got to tell you, man, I did not see the ending coming whatsoever.
Dude.
There's something that occurs in the movie where you kind of like, I think that there's some people that could probably guess. But in this case, I was completely surprised with the results of like the outcome of what happened. I don't want to go really into it because we've kind of already sort of flirted with like spoiling the movie. So I don't want to do that. But the outcome of this movie was not what I was expecting. And it made me go, that's pretty fucking sweet. Like, you know, point to the movie because I think that it ended up doing, like you said, Steven, short, it basically just stuck the landing. I was not expecting that whatsoever. You can tell that it's a little bit of a lower budget, but the acting is so goddamn good in this.
Dude.
They put in such fantastic performances that it makes you kind of forget about that. And I think that they really put all of their heart and soul into the script. And that's what makes this movie the movie that it ended up being. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So yeah, I strongly recommend it. I think that if you're, I've been saying this a lot and it's only because I'm thinking of certain people when I say it. But again, I will say it. If you are flirting with horror movies, dipping your toe in the water, this is a good one to start with because I will say it's not stingy with the gore, but it's a type of gore where I think it's not like you're not watching intestines being pulled out and stuff like that. Yes. You know what I mean? There are some elements of gore in here, but for people that want to jump into something and try it out, I think this is a good one too. And on top of that, you're going to get a really good story too. So I will go ahead and give it my rating. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 missing nether regions.
I loved it. You know what, though? The one thing that there is a scene where there's a girl and a dude in a car and the neighbor is pointing over the car like something's coming.
Right.
Dude, I was like, whoa, that was a good scene, dude. You kind of know where it's going, but it still shocked me. When she's like, look, and she's like, what are you pointing at? I was like, holy crap, that was scary. I was like, holy crap, G. I thought it was just well done. And the thing is, it's those things that skimp on the budget where they're like, they have to do those sort of tricks. They're like, look, we can't do, all this weird CGI. So we have to just, by the way we're shooting it, make it scary. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, it's just genius stuff. It's just genius. I'm very interested in what the director does next. I really liked it.
What I liked about that is it's there's some very graphic things that are happening in this movie, but it kind of leaves it up to your imagination. Sometimes I'm thinking of one particular scene with a mother that's driving.
My God, dude.
You know, there's a lot left to be imagined, but you know what happens.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, dude. I was like, wow, they really went there. So it's like more of like, I don't know. I think I was in my head more about it, kind of picturing what could have happened. You know what I mean? And and it just blew my mind. Yeah, they're definitely working with a lot on this one they're just putting their goddamn hearts into it. So yeah, I mean, I can't really recommend this movie enough. I didn't think I was going to like it the way that I ended up liking it because it took a couple of tries, but that was completely external. The Wolf of Snow Hollow, guys, check it out. It's totally worth the watch. Really fun movie.
All right. What next? Guest, Daniel?
Let's go with Mortuary Collection.
Hit it. What did you think of Mortuary Collection? Well, first, before we start, I'm going to let Daniel do this.
Well, that's dangerous.
But I will say a special person close to my heart, to every horror fan's heart, is in this movie. I think every horror fan's heart, you know what I'm saying, is in this movie. So brace yourself, because I have a feeling Daniel's going to give us the most amazing review of this movie, this Shudder movie, Shudder exclusive, that we have ever heard.
Please don't do this to me,
Daniel.
Bro, I don't watch none of I don't watch none of this, man. But I liked it. Like,
oh, here it comes.
I really think that like that the vet should take this one. I have some takes on this movie, and I enjoyed it. But like, yo, I'm so foreign in this, and I'm just happy that I'm along for the ride, and you guys will have me.
Yeah, no problem. Listen, let me just talk about this real quick. The Mortuary Collection, The Mortuary Collection came out 2019. On the cusp of retirement, an eccentric mortician recounts several of the strangest stories he's encountered in his long career. But things take a turn for the phantasmagorical, that's a nice word, when he learns that final story is his own. Steve, I want to talk about this for a second. I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna give Daniel the break on this one, okay?
Thank you.
Let me tell you who stars in this movie, and then we'll go from there. So stars Clancy Brown, Caitlin Custer, Christine Kilmer. Who else we got? We got Jacob Elordi, Emma Horvath, Jennifer Irwin, and James Bachman. I got to be honest with you. There's only one person I can think of, Steve, that you must be talking about.
So anyone many people that are horror fans love Clancy Brown. He's a man of many abilities, but the main thing we remember him for is Pet Sematary. And the reason we remember him from Pet Sematary is because it could have been corny as hell. It could have been so bad. But he made it, well, for me, because I was at a certain age then, he made it scary for me. I was like, this guy is very spooky. I don't like what's happening right now. And to be specific, it's the second one. The first one, fine. But the second one is where he comes into the picture and man, I don't even think there's such thing as spoilers for a 20-something-year-old movie. But either way,
I think you're good.
Yeah, okay. Well, he plays a thing that comes back to life, and not the zombie way. He plays a very scary way. And so from then on, I was on. Now, obviously, a lot of kids would know him as Mr. Crab from SpongeBob SquarePants. But
holy shit. Seriously?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I'm not a big SpongeBob guy, but I had no idea he was Mr. Crab.
So to keep it easy, he does not need the work.
No.
He's doing quite well for himself.
He's probably my favorite character actor, period.
Oh, wow. More than Stephen
I love
Buscemi.
This guy, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. I love this guy. Do you guys remember a movie? This came out in the 80s. It starred Sean Penn and Clancy Brown. It was called Bad Boys before Bad Boys came out.
Mm-mm.
Dude, check that movie out. That's actually a really good movie. It's got Ali Sheedy as Sean Penn's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And basically she gets raped by this guy. Did you ever see La Bamba?
Yeah.
You know the guy? I can't think of his name right now. Not my...
Lou Diamond Phillips?
No, not Lou. His brother.
Bob.
Jason Diamond Phillips?
The guy that played Bob. That's Bob. Like, you treat me like a goddamn dog. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
His name's Bob.
His name is Bob in the movie. Check it out. It's on. There's IMDb. You can find out all this stuff. Anyway, he's in this one. He rapes Ali Sheedy. Well, Sean Penn gets revenge, and they're all teenagers, and he goes after him. They both end up in juvie, and then it becomes this straight up war in juvie, and it's fucking
juvie
great movie.
War.
It's a juvie war. I think they should have called it juvie war, but I highly recommend you check that movie out.
I will check it out.
that was my first. It was a teenage Clancy Brown, or maybe like early 20s. But he's always been this guy that anytime he's on screen, you know something bad's usually going to happen. Like when he plays a good guy or a non-villain, let's say, you're still kind of waiting for something to happen.
For sure.
You know, even when I saw him in Shawshank Redemption, I'm like, oh, snap. And guess what? He didn't disappoint. So Clancy Brown's always been one of my favorites, man. Yeah.
He is fantastic.
And it makes nothing changes for this one, too. He's fantastic in this movie as well.
He's amazing. And I love the fact that he understands, because I love horror anthology movies. I've watched 2 of them this week, and both were really good. He knows exactly what movie he's in, but he doesn't play it corny. He's like, I'm going to be the thing that this movie requires. And he does a really good job. I think all the stories in this anthology are fun. They're perfectly fine. It's enjoyable. My main thing was the way they set it up, where they're just like, I got a story to top that. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then after one story, I had a thought, and the girl in the movie actually mirrored my thought. She's like, yeah, I saw that coming. So they almost play on, yeah, we know what we're showing you. We get it. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed the Mortuary Collection. I think Shudder is like killing it right now. But
they're at the top of their game right now.
Dude, this is the season.
If you're going to get it right, this is the month to do it.
This is the one. And so I would recommend for those more intermediate horror fans, because this does have some gore. I would recommend this for people who like horror already, but are just in the mood to see something from another take on the anthology idea. I would say that if you liked VHS, you might like this, because it's saying, oh, here's another story. What's this? It's that thing. It's not just some random, an anthology series that credits, next story. No, it's a story behind the anthology. I will give the Mortuary Collection a 2.7 out of 5 bursted penile organs.
Dang it.
I think we're all probably going to go with that one, right?
Nope. I have a backup.
Okay.
Nice.
So, funny thing about this movie, I start watching it while I'm eating my lunch. And the beginning of it, I'm like, okay, it's a horror movie. My mom just comes home from work, and I'm like, hey, just watching a movie. Don't mind me. I have my headphones in. You know what I mean? And I'm like, did they send me a kid's movie? Because when I first saw it, it reminded me of when my grandpa used to watch the Crypt Keeper movie, the Crypt Keeper show. You know what I mean?
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I remember being terrified of that when I was like 7, you know?
Yeah, it's not a kid's movie. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but at first I was like, but this is a little campy. And I was like, all right, maybe they're going easy on me because they know I'm an idiot. And they sent me this on purpose. And I watched the first story, and the girl like plays it off, and I'm like, yeah, I'm all agreeing with her. And I had just told my mom before the second story started, I don't know what's up with this one. And then I'm going to my room to continue my day, and she's like, maybe it builds. And then the next one is the next story, and I'm like, oh, it's building. So this one took me on a I was like, definitely not a
building in that episode.
I was like, definitely not a family movie. Like after that second story. But the first story didn't quite hook me in, but when the second one came through and ended, I was like, okay, what the fuck is going on here? I need to see. And it grabbed me. It took a hold of me. And being somebody who's not super into gore, it was story gore. You know what I mean? And that's fine. Mm-hmm. Just like The Wolf was storyline gore. It wasn't gore for the sake of it. It was like, hey, this is how serious this is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so I was enjoying that thoroughly. And by the end of it, the twist is always fun in the stories. And I'm always up for that. So I'm going to give it another 3 out of 5 demon toddlers.
Oh man, I forgot about that. That's a heck of a little thing right there. What about you, Danathan?
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I really like this movie, and I agree with both of you in the sense that it's a great anthology, first of all, and I think it's up there with some of the better anthology movies that are, like of this time, horror related. I liked it because, like Daniel, when I first started watching it, that's the first thing I thought of was like Tales from the Crypt, Creep Show. It's got that kind of a vibe to it. And the very first one that they do is a bit of an introductory type of a story. It's quick. it's kind of to the point. And it kind of leaves you thinking, okay, I sort of know the pace of this movie so far. And much like Daniel said, not the case whatsoever, because the immediate next segment, which was probably my favorite of the bunch, I think that it had the most story to it. And I do think that it does a pretty good job of kind of sneaking in some social commentary, you know what I mean? Which I thought is a good thing, considering like I have kids that are still fairly young, but one's an adult, one's approaching adulthood. It's sort of nice to know that like they're still putting out a message, even as twisted as this is, to protect yourself. I'll leave it at that. Segment 2, check it out. Anyway, but the ending of that segment did one of the things that I never expected it, even when I knew what was happening to some degree with this particular character. How can I say this without really giving away any spoilers? There's a party. And there's a guy that meets up with this girl early in the day. They meet up at this party and they end up, going upstairs and having their way with each other. But things don't go according to plan. And the next day, repercussions are definitely involved. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I think that this is an excellent submission from Shudder. Like you're saying, Steve, like they're just on fire right now. I'm talking about from the cinematography to the music to the color being used in this. The acting's all fantastic. Again, I love Clancy Brown, and I think that everyone else did a fantastic job with this. But it's kind of something for everybody. If you don't really like too much gore, you are going to see it in here. But I think that it's pretty tame. I didn't think it was all that bad. But yes, there is gore involved. But it also takes you to different levels. Like I think that it goes kind of like from beginner to difficult and then back to medium again in this. Like they kind of switch it up a little bit, but it all makes sense. And yeah, it gets campy as hell, but I think that they pull it off very well. I like this one a lot. As far as these movies are going with Shudder, I think that there's been maybe like out of the last 5 that I've watched, there was one that was just kind of okay, but Shudder's just smashing it out of the park right now. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one a pretty high rating, more so than I expected it to. I really liked it a lot, and I'm going to go ahead and go with 4 out of 5 alarmingly enlarged penises.
Dude, and I loved that ending is they stick it, man. They're just like, I'm like, oh, that's really, there's one part where I was just like, I almost felt good. I was like, oh, now I see why. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, someone gets to something and never mind. It doesn't.
I mean, did any of you guys see that coming?
No.
Like, something's happening, but I had no idea it was going to go in that fashion.
No.
And it turns out that one of the people that were slightly annoying, he's like almost too skeptical. Like, that's pretty good, old man, but scare me a little bit more. That kind of thing. Like, I was like, I don't know. Turns out being one of the strong points of the movie. So
it was really good. It was a well-done movie. It was a very well-done movie. I look forward to, like, I hope Shudder continue. Here's my goal. I hope that some company has a Shudder off-brand where all that section is just devoted to making Shudder movies. All we do is make horror movies for Shudder. This is what we do.
Well, the thing is, Steve, they are putting out Shudder movies that aren't on Shudder.
Really?
Like The Pale Door. The Pale Door wasn't on Shudder, but that one you can rent. What's the other one?
That's a Shudder movie?
That's a Shudder movie, yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
I can't think of the other one. There's another one that's popping in my head, but I just can't remember the title of it right now. But they are definitely putting out movies that are Shudder. What do you want to call it? Shudder produced, Shudder exclusive, but not through Shudder.
That's really cool, dude.
So they're turning it into more of like a movie company, I think.
I would love that. I think it's going to be a great idea. I hope this doesn't affect her. Like, well, never mind. You don't have to pay to be. Well, that would be good. That would be good. But I do like right now sort of the special exclusivity of horror fans being able to have this little, corner that we can sit in.
This little horror oasis.
Yes. And when you open it to the masses, I don't know.
You like the exclusivity. You like to be in the private club.
It's fun because that means the horror fans really want to watch it instead of people like, look at this stupid movie. Well, you shouldn't have watched it anyway. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't for you, really.
Right.
So, I like the exclusivity. So, all right. I guess there's only one next, man.
I do have a prediction, though.
Oh, please.
At the rate that they're going right now, I would like to think that when you hear the word Blumhouse, when you hear Shudder, they're going to be very, very similar as far as like the weight that they carry. All the time we're here, the new Blumhouse. When you start hearing the new Shudder, And I think it's coming soon. I think that they've stepped to that next level. And I don't see them slowing down whatsoever. I think that where Netflix is right now, I mean, yes, Shudder is kind of the Netflix of horror, but I think that they're doing something right where they are building, like I know a lot of people that were really never into horror before. And now Shudder comes along, the pandemic hits, and you get like a month free Shudder. Everyone's watching it now. And I think that you watch 2 years from now, it's going to be huge, but you're going to, instead of hearing, you know, a new Blumhouse, you're going to hear the new Shudder. I think it's going to be a household name very soon.
I wouldn't be surprised. And, you know, here's the interesting thing that Blumhouse is doing. I think they might have played it wrong. Before when Blumhouse was doing it, what they would do is they would give $1 million to a bunch of different, or $1 to $5 million to all these different movies. And one of them will be a hit. But they were such a small company that the one would be a hit is the one that you'd hear of. You wouldn't hear about any of the other ones.
Yeah.
Because it's a low nothing Blumhouse movie. Now Blumhouse is such a name that when they dish out this money to all these different movies, the fact that they have Blumhouse makes you watch those movies and they're terrible. Mm-hmm. But it was not supposed to be. It was supposed to be just like in the old days where it wouldn't even break the surface. But now the Blumhouse name alone will make you break the surface. So they have to, I don't think they're going to be able to follow this rule anymore. You can't just give a bunch of people this money and know that one of them is going to be a mega hit. You're going to have to, unfortunately, be way more choosy. Yes. Because your name is going to make it break the surface now.
Right. You don't want it watered down.
Thank you. And that's what's happening right now.
What was the last? I don't even know if it was the last one, but wasn't Fantasy Island a Blumhouse movie?
I do believe it was.
I believe it was, and it was just straight trash.
It was trash.
What were the other ones? April Fool's Day, another garbage movie.
See?
So I think for a while Blumhouse was just going, "Yeah, we'll take it all, man." It's
Bingo, you know what I mean? And it was smart because you would never hear about the other ones.
Yeah, another Blumhouse movie, like what you're saying, Steve, where a little bit down the line, it might start working against them. At least that's how I took what you were saying.
For sure, dude. It's
Before it was like, oh, another Blumhouse. I'm going to see this shit this Friday. I don't even care what it's about.
Bingo.
So they've got to be careful. And I hope that Shudder does not follow suit with that, is more choosy, like you're saying, and keeps producing these great movies. I mean, they're just, you're just not seeing movies like this on any other network.
You're not. And it all changed. A lot of it changed with Get Out.
Yes.
Like when you have your name on that, now everybody's like, oh, snap. And I think they should have been like, okay, wait, everybody, we can't just throw $5 million at, hey, this guy, this person, this woman, this person, this person. One of them's gonna, now we watch, when it says Blumhouse, we watch it. And when it goes off, you're like, that was garbage. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be like, oh, it's Blumhouse, but who knows? It could be, because I will tell you, like companies like A24 and stuff like that, they're coming for their necks. They're like, okay, you guys keep doing $1 million. We're going to do special ones, a few special ones, and they'll break the surface. I think Midsummer was an A24.
Yep.
And mind you, I didn't like it, but a lot of people do. A lot of people do. So when you have someone like them not giving money to 1 million people, when you see the A24, you're like, oh, it's legit. You don't want Blumhouse to be that thing you see and be like, oh boy, it's going to be a freaking quarter toss. You know what I'm saying? Flip a coin. Is it going to be good? So you're totally right. You're totally right, man. They need to be very careful. Very careful. Because he has the money to spend on 1 million movies, so he can keep on doing this.
It's not going to hurt him.
Oh, not at all, dude. It might hurt directors that don't have the leadership from him now. Like when you give this money to a few and you could actually give it to 2 people and walk them through the process. Don't give it to some director and now their name is forever attached to this garbage piece of garbage. You don't want that, man. You want to foster talent. Foster these talented people, man. Not everyone's a Jordan Peele. You know what I'm saying? Like foster these horror directors.
Do you think, speaking of Jordan Peele, do you think that like Blumhouse, where they start to see the Blumhouse Productions logo and then you're going to see Monkey Paw, do you think there's going to be more companies working with Shudder? For instance, how about Monkey Paw? Do you think you're going to see a Shudder Monkey Paw, union at some point? Collaboration?
Yeah, I hope they do. I think it just depends on whatever deals Monkey Paw has with other that's like exclusive. If they're not exclusive, let me tell you something. That's where Monkey Paw belongs. Monkey Paw belongs in the Shudder universe.
Right. It seems to make all the sense in the world, right? All
the sense in the world. They're just like, because here's what I will say. They won't say no to him.
Right.
Shudder will not be like, no, they'd be like, don't worry about the money. We will find a way to afford, like, what do you want? And yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. That's unless Netflix is like, oh, all y'all want to give him a deal? Let's just have one meeting with him. What's your number that would make you go nuts? Be like, 300 million? Done. Next. They can do that. Netflix can just outbid never mind. You know who can outbid everybody? Amazon Prime.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Aye.
Jeff Bezos will be like, the money I have in my glove compartment.
Yeah, what I got in my sock here. This will work. A little bit sweaty, but you can have it all.
Why don't you but I would not recommend him doing that. It's too watered down. Prime Video is too watered down. Shudder is so exclusive that, like, Jordan Peele would own Shudder. Monkey Paw would be Shudder. Everything they do would be on the front page. Oh, dude, you just got me excited, bro.
I mean, it just seems to be a perfect fit. It seems to make sense that's the natural progression. I don't know. I mean, money talks, and I get it, and I'm not going to act like I understand all the. I'm not going to act like I understand all the inner workings, right? But it's a money situation when, like, say, Twilight Zone is getting picked up by CBS All Access. I think that, granted, Twilight Zone isn't always a horror-based show, but I think it would do exceptionally well on Shudder. And
we forget, like, people are like, oh, it's on All Access. People forget how much money CBS has to just throw around. And you do, like, for them to fund a movie level, like, every one of those episodes are movie level, like, production. And they just fund it for their side groove. That's money, bro.
Yeah.
They fund it for their side online thing. So yeah, I get why Jordan Peele's like, hey man, shoot. I'm not hurting. I'm not hurting. It's just because I know he said he only wants to do 3 movies. He has 3 movie ideas, and he said, and after that, he doesn't want to do anymore. He just has these 3 he wants out. And so far it's been Get Out, it's been Us, and there's one more.
Do you think there's ever going to be an Us 2?
No.
Yes.
I think they should not do that.
I don't think that. And the thing is, I know that all of it, there is rumor that Us and Get Out are in the same universe.
So you think they're going to tie it all together?
Yes.
That'd be good.
I think they're going to tie it
that.
Where, like, you'll see it online where there's like a hands across whatever, but then it's going to be a throwaway. It's going to be done. And then the movie's going to continue. But it's going to be like, oh, this is all happening at the same time. And like maybe one of the actors will be like, why are they holding hands? What is all these people that look like in the Reds anyway moving forward?
Or just like a scene of Hands Across America on the television. You know what I mean? Something very subtle.
Yeah, something very niche where we're like, I see what you did there. Anyway, yeah, that thing. And mind you, seeing him retire from directing is going to suck. But I get it. Because you're not going to, if you do 3 and all 3 are like Us and Get Out, that is a trifecta, the likes of which we haven't seen for a while. That's 100% in your directorial. That's amazing. Especially coming from Key and Peele G.
Yeah.
No one saw this coming.
No, not even a little bit.
That is crazy. So yeah, I'm very eager to see. But next up, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to talk about a movie. Let me tell you something. This is a movie that I've been trying to get Daniel to watch for Dan. We're going to go Dan.
You talking about me?
Yes.
You've been talking about this movie for a good 2 years. Dude.
And Dan just never, I don't think he likes one of the stars in the movies.
Bingo.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's not that I don't like. You talking about Martin Freeman?
Yes.
I'm not a huge Martin Freeman fan, but I don't necessarily think he sucks or anything. He's not, or I just rush out to go see him. You know what I mean? So yes, to be quite honest with you, his face was what was keeping me from watching this damn movie.
And you think I love him?
You seem to.
Yes.
Yeah, you're very much into that. Whatever series he was on recently you wanted me to watch, I didn't watch that either.
I watched last week another movie with him. Again.
I didn't like The Hobbit. It's just the Martin Freeman thing, but he's perfectly fine. He's not a bad actor. He doesn't suck. I don't know what it is. It's just not something where I go, oh, I got to go out and get me some Martin Freeman movies.
So,
you know what I mean?
This movie is a 2017 movie. The synopsis is skeptical professor Philip Goldman embarks on a trip to the terrifying after being given a file with details of 3 unexplained cases of apparitions. Now, what it really is breaking down to is this guy debunks bullcrap. The thing we love, Penn Jillette, rest in peace, the amazing Randy. These guys used to go to people who are taking advantage of really heartbroken folks. It's an ugly business. They take advantage of heartbroken people and make people say, "Oh, I'm talking to your mom," or whatever.
Yeah, traveling psychics and such.
Exactly. Which is why I don't know why this idea never came up before. I'd be like, what if? Oh, it kind of ruins it till issue. Okay, anyway. So this guy travels the world debunking these things. And he has a mentor. And in this movie, he gets to meet his mentor one day. Dan, how did you like Ghost Stories?
I really loved the shit out of this movie. Like way more than I thought I was going to. You know, I like that whole thing about like debunking stories and then getting thrown into them, you know, and quite honestly, I think they could have spent more time there, but I liked what they did with this here. This movie is definitely broken up into 3 different parts, 3 different stories. His mentor, as you're calling him, does tell him, he's like, these are the cases that I could not solve. These are the ones where, these are the ones where I just, you know what? I've debunked a whole bunch of things. These I have no answer for you. So of course this guy wants to go ahead and do that and call bullshit on him. And the stories are all very different. I'm led to think, Steve, and correct me if I'm wrong, are they all sort of tied together in some way?
I didn't see the tie.
I did.
Oh, technically.
The first story and the third story there's a tie.
Yes.
And I'm just curious. Wait, is the first? No. I'm sorry. It would be the first and second story, I think. No. First and third. That's right. Because what I'm talking about, without getting into it, is a little doll in a yellow jacket or yellow dress. And that pops up several times. So I'm still kind of confused. You know, I'm talking about in particular the very first, the ending of the very first story where someone gets a hug. Okay.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's all technically tied. It's all coming from, as we learn later. I can't even say it. Yes, it's all tied together.
It's all tied together.
Yes, there we go. You know what I'm saying? Technically.
Yeah. I liked how they wove that all together like that. But some of the visuals and some of the scares, they weren't jump scares, but they were like, oh, that'd be crazy if that happened. Like one that I didn't even expect to really get me, but it did, was there. It's in the third story. It's got Martin Freeman, and he is checking on this, the crib. We'll just say he's checking on a crib. He walks up to this crib and like, I don't know if it's like diapers or tissues or something from behind him go, oof, and they like shoot out. That, I don't know why, like for some reason that I found to be one of the more scary things, because I'm not like, you know, someone that's afraid of ghosts or anything like that. But if that was to happen in that hypothetical situation, there are some things going on in this one where I think I respond more to the unknown and the unseen than the seen and known. Do you know what I mean? It's those things that you can't see that are the more scary ones to me. And there's plenty of it in this, but, yeah, I liked all the stories. I think that the first story and the third story, I think, were the ones that really got me, just because I wasn't really expecting what happens to happen. Yeah. But it all comes down to me. Like I was like, I'm enjoying this movie. I like it a lot. It all came down to, and I texted Steve about this, it's like 5 minutes before the movie ends. And there is a character by the name of Callahan that shows up. And they tell a story of what happened to Callahan when he was younger. Callahan makes another appearance later on in this. And I don't know what it is, Steve. You know, I've seen a shit ton of horror movies, G.
Oh, man.
That, to me, was one of the most disturbing scenes I've seen in a horror movie in a really long time. Without getting into it, the cackle, the laughter, the beckoning, the hovering. There's a finger that goes into a mouth. Dude. There's just, I mean, dude, it's so eerie. It fucking freaked me out to the point where it didn't give me a nightmare, but it got into my dream last night. I was thinking about Callahan in my dream last night. That imagery is going to stay with me for a very long time. And I think that honestly, like the whole movie's very good, but that scene alone pretty much just sold the whole movie for me. It made me love it. And I think it's one of the better ghost stories, no pun intended, because that is the name of the movie, to come out in a really long time, because it didn't make a mockery of itself. It didn't get campy at any point in time. Mm-hmm. It didn't play into the whole, it didn't get like, we know what we're doing and we know you know what we're doing, but we're still going to do it. No, it was one of the very few movies that I've seen in a very long time that actually took itself to be serious the entire way through. And because it does that, it gives it a certain element that a lot of movies don't get, because I think that sometimes nowadays these movies, much like say, well, let's just take Mortuary Collection for, just for this example. That movie knows what it's doing too, but it does play with the campiness of things, which in a sense can kind of take you out of the movie a little bit. It kind of makes you feel safe, I guess, in regards to the movie. Like, okay, this is a little safe break. We know what's going on. There's a transition of scenes, and now we got another story going on. This one never really did that. It just sort of stayed in that same tone, very gray. Like even the way that they shot it, everything's very gray. There's not a lot of sunlight. It keeps a certain tone. And I think that all of those things combined together made this to be a very excellent movie. Like one of the better horror movies that I've seen in a very long time. It haunted me. No pun intended. Like, I'm not trying to be stupid when I say that. It's a haunting movie. Ghost Stories. I highly recommend it. Should I give my rating now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Because I think you're going to be surprised, man. I think it's actually higher than you would have expected. I'm going to go ahead and give Ghost Stories a 4.5 out of 5 creepy ghost hugs.
Love it. Daniel.
Love it.
Tell us the story, because you said there's a story about Ghost Stories for you.
I mean, as soon as I got like the instruction to watch it, I was like, all right, here we go. I'm jumping in head first. So headphones on, loving the sound. First of all, like I had put it in my earbuds, and like, remember we were talking earlier about ASMR and stuff. There's a scene where this guy lights a cigarette. You could hear the cigarette burning in one of the shots. And I was like, oh, that just feels good. Like somebody cares. And
yes.
And the way it's shot, the way it's started, the way it's put together, it's like somebody really loves what they're doing and they want to paint a picture. And I was bought like right into it. And of course, being somebody who's not a movie type, this grabbed me and brought me right in, and I was hooked. So I get through to the first story. There's a few things I'm noticing, and I'm trying to figure it out and all that, having that fun. And it's maybe about noon, and I have both of my headphones in, and I'm by myself in my house, and they're noise canceling headphones. I'm filing, I'm doing my thing. It gets to the first scene where the security guard is doing his thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's obviously, this is spoiler free in my opinion. It's obvious that something scary is going to happen.
Absolutely.
Giving the setting. So I'm like, all right, here it comes. You know what I mean? So I'm ready for it with my headphones in, just kind of like bracing myself. The first scary thing happens, and I'm like, you mother effer. And I'm like feeling it. And then, and by the way, when I'm working in the office or on my computer, I take my glasses off because I'm nearsighted. Yeah. So I don't hear, like, I'm just all in the movie. That happens. And then out of the corner of my eye, just above my field of vision of my screen, I see something move right by my door. And because it's blurry, I like stop and I look up and I take my earbuds out and I realize that my mom's home from work and she was talking to Yo, but when it was like sequential, like the first jump scare happens and I'm like, ooh, okay. Like, all right, like trying to toughen up. You remember when Happy Gilmore gets hit in the face with the baseball?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, ooh, that hurt a little, but let's go. That's me watching the first scare of the movie. And then the thing moves in the background of my real life, not the movie. And I shit myself. And I'm like, oh, Mom, welcome back from work.
Yeah.
And I tell her, and she's cracking the hell up. She's like, see, that's what you get. Like,
that's scary, dude.
Watching scary movies at this house that you know that like ghosts visit from time to time. So
yeah,
like,
we're talking about that too in just a second, by the way.
For sure. But like, I was already in that mode. I had a conversation with my grandma and uncle who may have been there because that's their house. And I just set out into the open, into the air. Hey, I'm going to do this. If you don't like it, let me know and I'll respect it. I'm sorry if this disrespects you guys. And I move forward and I feel like that was like a cool little, it made me enjoy the movie more. And it was actually came at a good time because I had to laugh because I was so sold into this movie. Like I was in there and it was messing me up. And it was put together so beautifully. The transitions between the stories, the second story, I was like all the way in. There's some shit that in that second part, I don't even understand the spoiler thing. And so I don't want to like give nothing away. So I apologize if I do.
Nah, go for it. You're all right.
Okay.
You're all right.
So the second part, when he goes to visit the little cokehead looking kid.
Yeah.
which I don't know. He just seemed cokey, you know what I mean? But he's disturbed,
yes.
the poor boy. But then when the guy, like, he's talking to the parents aren't responding, and he looks into the kitchen, and all you hear, there we go. All you hear is water running, and you see the backs of two people not moving. That scared the shit out of me. And that wasn't even like an actual jump scare, anything really scary.
No, it's spooky as hell, dude.
It's that unknown thing that Dan was talking about. And that part, I kept thinking back to it, like, what the fuck is going to happen with these? What are the rest of these people? Where are they? What are they? Mm-hmm. Is he possessed? Like, I'm asking all these questions, and it was so scary that it almost took me out of the movie for a minute, and I had to rewind it. And then he goes up the stairs and he sees that picture. There's the other tie-in, by the way.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I was like, the fuck is that? And I'm like, okay, I guess it'll relate later. And it does, thank goodness. But like, when that picture, that tie-in happens, I was like, oh, this is just good storytelling. And that's what I strive for. And it actually helped me so much watching through the whole thing. The third story, there was something that happens where as soon as I saw where they were at and what they were doing in that third story when they were talking with each other, I was like, oh, the guy's probably going to do this thing. And then when he does it, I was like, oh shit, but oh man, but oh shit.
You saw that coming?
Yep. As soon as they went out there.
I was totally shocked, dude.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, hold up, what?
Why the fuck else would they be out there?
I don't know, like doing something.
But doing something?
Being creepy and British, man.
Yeah, like walking and seeing the beautiful the visuals, man.
Yo, the visuals were telling me what was going to happen.
That's great. I did not. When he all of a sudden looked at him in that weird way, I was like, oh, what's going to, whoa. Like, I did not, like, what?
Hold up. Can I put a pause in real quick? Because I'm curious about something.
Let's go.
That exact scene that you're talking about right now, where you said he gave him a weird look.
Yeah, he looked at him like, huh.
I took it as he was like looking over. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much, but like he was looking over that guy and like, oh shit, like seeing something making him do that. That's how I took it.
Oh,
but
that's
then
interesting.
Looking at the hooded man.
Yeah, but exactly. But what we come to find out later on,
oh man,
it completely threw me again, because it's like, oh, this wasn't anywhere where I think it was going. You know what I mean?
The thing is, what it was doing, because this could have been corny. We all agree this could have would have taken one thing that could have made this whole thing corny.
For sure.
Especially the end where it's just like kind of, I won't ruin it, but it's kind of like a carnival thing. That could have been corny, but they make it so that you're like, I'm scared. I don't know what this guy's doing. I'm not following him anywhere. This is scaring me.
He's playing with it, man.
Was actively scared. Like, this is a movie. I don't get scared of anything like when I'm watching a movie. This actively scared me at the end.
Yep.
Everything he did when he'd like go into this door, go here, look into that crib, everything was scaring me.
Yep.
Everything was scaring me.
It had all the good scary things, the unknowns, the gore, the ghosts, the to take a Friends reference, the little girl ghosts, which are always extra scary.
Oh, man.
The kid ghosts are always scary. Demon babies are terrifying. Kids in general scare me. So, but
yeah, they're scary as fuck. Just in general.
That's why I'm not a dad. They're terrifying.
What's your rating, brother?
Oh, dude. I talked to my lady about it. I'm going to watch it again. So though I'm not much of a movie watcher, I don't take in a lot of new media. When I find something I like, I play it to death. I'm probably going to watch this movie multiple times. I don't have a horror movie in my rotation at all. 5 out of 5 baby Baphomets, like all the way.
Nice.
I love, and you know, it's funny. It's
this
guy is the most dangerous sort. Like, I would consider myself like him, where most people, they see something scary, unexplained happen, and you run because your brain is like, oh, that's a thing we shouldn't be around.
Facts.
Whereas me not believing in it, I would just be like, I need to investigate further.
Yeah.
See what this is all about.
That's what pissed me off.
That's what makes it even more dangerous for me, because I'd be like, if I saw there's a thing that happened in this movie where he's looking in a car window.
Oh, yeah.
And if that would have happened to me, I would have been like, oh, it must have been some sort of thing that might have happened to make me think that what I'm seeing is real. So I would have just been like he did. I have to make sense of this because I know that there's nothing that can do this thing. Yo. I know that. So this movie is about, which draws me to it because it's about someone like me where I'm like, I don't believe it. It's not real. And at the end, when the guy is like, let me show you how not real this all is, then that is scary as hell to me. You're like, follow me and let me show you how unreal it all is. Let's smile. Come with me, ladies. I'm just like, oh my God, that's like hell.
Something
like
about that mentor.
Walking you through the, huh?
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
No. What were you saying?
I was saying something about that mentor just told me that he was going to fuck some shit up.
Dude.
There were some things about him that I don't want to give away. But like, again, because I start watching the movie and I'm already trying to figure it out, I'm like, this motherfucker's on some shit.
Yep.
That's just, I'm going to be I'm going to use profanity just to be vague about it so I don't ruin shit for people. Because like, yeah, dude, I want people to enjoy this the way I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's good, man.
It tripped me out. It helped me finish writing. That's Friday I watched it. It helped me finish writing the second half of a Farooq song and then a whole other one too. That were some of the most difficult songs to write because of where they came from and what's going on with them. And that's a huge tangent though. That doesn't have to happen here and now. But yeah, the moral of the story is I got something out of that movie, a lot of something.
That's fantastic.
And those were the crying days in the studio. The next 2 days was seeing my influence from watching this movie turn into my storytelling and music and seeing it all come together in one cohesive, which is the theme of the movie, and flame emojis, all of them. Don DeMarco's, Baphomet babies, all that.
I love it. And the interesting thing is, as we learn, technically your brain is trying to tell you these things are real. And your other side is like, no, it's not.
Yeah. It focuses on we see what we want to see. We believe what we want to believe. And what I thought was brilliant about that, Steve, is that there are certain parts of the movie where that really starts playing into it. Personally, it played into my head. So like, for instance, the very first story with the guy, the caretaker, and he's walking around in that dark and dingy area. There's a point where he sees something up against a back wall and he thinks it's like a figure that's moving. And when he gets up to it, it's something that's just inanimate and everything. But like, I was thinking I'm seeing that move. You know what I mean? Like I was playing into that whole mentality of it. And I think that's why this movie's so brilliant. It actually kind of draws you in, much like movies should do, of course, but it draws you in and you're playing along with this now. And you're like, okay, well, what is real? Did I really see that? I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but I had this several times throughout that movie where it's like, maybe I'm just seeing this because I think that I should be seeing this. And the way that it all ties together in the end is just so fantastic.
It's just beautiful. And the thing is, we're evolved to see like faces in the bushes and figures, because if you back thousands of years ago, if you did not see that tiger's face in the bushes, shame on your monkey tail. So you have to see a figure. You have to be that's why light sockets look like faces to us. We're used to seeing figures hiding. And so in my brain, like that guy, if I saw that coat and I'm like, oh, or saw the thing, I'm like, oh, it was just this. And so I would just be like, oh, whatever. And a lot of people that believe in that stuff will be like, I don't care what it is now. A few seconds ago, it was a thing. And they vacate the premises, which is what you should do.
Right.
People like me, I'm like, oh, I thought it was a thing eating someone on the ground. It's just a coat hanger. And I'm just going to move through life and be like, cool. And never rethink, be like, you really think it was just a coat hanger eating someone on the ground? Really? Like, yeah. Your brain makes sense of what it can't make sense of. So it's like, oh, this is what happened. Never mind, move on.
That was a thought that crossed my mind too.
Daniel's brain obviously doesn't do that. Like Daniel would see something like that and be like, I'm not going into that room.
Hell no.
I saw what I saw. And even if I'm like, no, it's a mannequin, see? And you'll be like, nope, no, a few seconds ago it wasn't. I'm like, really? And then I'm missing for the rest of time as I go.
I'm big picture when it comes to this shit. And my thought with the Night Watchman was, how bad does he need this fucking job? And what needs to be protected there to where he needs to stay his ass there?
Dude, I'm out.
How bad is the unemployment situation in this town where this dude's got to work here?
And who would fucking, if he's the head night watchman, who would know if he just dipped for the day?
Nobody would know.
I've worked overnight at a couple places and slept a lot of times there. Nobody knows. Nobody gives a shit. As long as you check off your little sheets and nothing is on fire by the time you get the hell out of there. He could have gone to the 50s British version of McDonald's. Nobody would have known.
and called it a day. They pay well anyway out there.
Facts.
So.
Like,
but here's the thing.
They clearly don't have dental.
Oh, that's jacked up. Bucks, talking to you. Bucks, that was a shot.
Damn, Bucks. I would feel attacked.
Yeah, you're editing that one out.
What I loved so much was the fact that, as you can see, the Night Watchman, when his brain gets broken and he sees these things, he's a broken man.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell how these people are different now.
Yep.
They have witnessed something that broke their brain, and they are different. And I'm like, yeah, you're in a way, if you see something or witness something your brain cannot explain, your brain is not going to any longer be normal.
Yo.
You're not. Or you're going to write a tome of stories that are like, oh, this is probably what happened. And people will read it and be like, no. It was just like people like Daniel be like, no, it's just a ghost. There's no scientific explanation for this. It's a freaking ghost. And, if you accept that, people like my brain would, if I saw a ghost, my brain breaks because everything's on the table. Like I've told Dan many times, I'm like, there's werewolves and there's also vampires. There's also zombies. It's not just ghosts. Everything's on the table.
This guy lives in
might be Thor.
Fourth graders Halloween universe.
Gee, everything. Olympus is here. Thor is alive.
He lives in a Goosebumps episode.
He does.
Giant spiders. Nothing is beyond.
Okay, spiders is too far. Don't say that.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the funny part. Here's how ridiculous I am. I'm watching a National Geographic show, and this is years back. And there is a whole village that are built on stilts. Okay? And when asked, why did you build these things on stilts? This tribe said, because giant spiders come through and steal our babies.
Shit.
My American brain said, you ridiculous fools.
Oh, no.
You built these, and all scientists were like, we've never seen a spider the size of a deer. We've never witnessed it. And the tribal members were like, I don't care what you've witnessed. Do you think we would build all of these houses on stilts if we did not see a massive spider stealing babies? And I'm like, in my American brain, I'm like, oh, you poor things. You probably were on some sort of thing. And in your brain, you saw a deer. That deer transferred into a spider in your mind. You thought it stole babies. Your baby probably walked off into the field, died, and you thought the spider took it. And I'm like, you know why I think that? Because my brain would break if I knew there were deer-sized spiders.
Defense mechanism.
Exactly. But then I'd also have to say that these tribal members all built stilt level houses for no reason off of one person's imagination. And that seems just as not likely. But my brain would break if I gave in to the fact that maybe, just maybe, there are deer-sized spiders that can take human beings.
What if the setting was Australia?
Even then.
They got some gnarly spiders out there, don't they?
Thank you. And I'd still be like, you're ridiculous. And I'd probably be kicked out of a tribe, obviously, because I'd be the one being like, stop it.
Well, dude,
I'm building my house on the ground.
Here's a question if you're thinking about logic. If you see a deer-sized spider, what are your chances of surviving? If they can move and do all the things that the little spiders that we smash do, what are your chances of surviving? Of course, nobody's seen them because they eat people.
That's true.
Bang.
So chances are the fact that the survivors are, but that's just it. If my brain can't see it, if I don't witness it, this is so crazy. But then again, if you told me whenever that, hey, Steve, hi, John. And John says, I saw electricity strike the ground from the sky. I would say, John, you're ridiculous and we can't be friends anymore because that's insane. And then if I did see lightning coming from the sky and hitting the ground, I would say, you know what? There's probably a God that holds lightning and throws it to the ground. Why? Because my brain would break if I just knew nature could just do that.
How many times you burned your hand on the stove when you were a kid, Steve?
1,000,000.
Still hot. Still hurts.
Million.
Still hot. Still hurts.
And the thing is, I now know that but if someone tells me there's a ghost, I'm like, in your brain there is. Yeah. In your brain there is a ghost. But I know that in our reality, they don't exist. That's how the brain works.
Back to the movie that you just brought something up, seeing how they were broken at the end, right? Or broken after they had their experience.
Totally broken, yes.
What I realized now is all three of those men in the story were different age ranges and are dealing with it in a way that's kind of common for each of those age ranges.
That's interesting. I didn't even peep that.
The old man was like, fuck it, which is my grandpa for
Exactly.
sure. The middle-aged dude was shutting his brain. You noticed he was affected by it, but he was trying to play it cool because he's a business owner and a mover and a shaker. And he's a boss. He's got to
rationalize.
Yeah, he kept his front up until like he just lived and died by his face. You know what I mean? By his front. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the youngster is erratic. He's a kid. He's doing internet research. You know what I mean? He's freaking out.
Absolutely.
And to me, that was like, oh shit, these are 3 stages of like dealing with trauma in different, with what you're equipped with. And you just open that up.
I did not even think about that.
It's a good catch, man.
Something else to bring up that I'm experiencing right now, and it's lightweight creeping me out. So I hope the Dark Lord doesn't visit us or anything. To make this full circle, I'm in my auxiliary, I'm in this room that's not usually my studio. And I have the microphone right up against me with my pop filter, and right beyond my field of view, like right in my field of view above my microphone, is a window just chilling there open with the light coming through.
Oh, dude.
And it like when I looked up right now, it kind of fucked me up.
Yeah, dude. What are you doing?
So Daniel, speaking of ghost stories, I'm told that you have some for us. I heard way back in the past that you had some stories that you were going to talk about. You want to talk about them now?
Oh, we're ready for that story. Like to hear it? Here it goes. So in about 2008, I'm moving into a house. It's a family house that my late great-grandmother and great-uncle lived in, and a house in which my great-grandmother passed away in. I'm moving in, however, all the belongings of those 2 people are still in there. And I grew up with them, had great relationships with them, but that house had been abandoned for quite some time. And as a 23-year-old man, I'm moving in there and trying to clear out the house to make it my home. Me and a friend cleaning out the whole house, but we leave the master bedroom, which was my great-grandmother's bedroom and the room that she passed away in. We leave that one for last, and we have fun clearing out the whole house. We were very respectful of that last room. My great-grandmother, Tranquilina, was very Catholic and just like a God-type person, like in terms of she was just a superior human. And her room was filled with all of her religious belongings that people hadn't taken over the years, because she had been gone for a good, maybe 8 years by then. So that room is filled with like those bloody Jesus statues and the crucifixes where Jesus is all beat up. All the extra Catholic, the old school stuff. So we like very respectfully clear out her room. And we put all those things in boxes very nicely. We put them in the garage. We were very like creeped out the whole time. And my buddy was like super cool. When we put the last box in the garage, a moth flew out at us and scared the shit out of both of us. Because we were just in that mode of like, yo, this is weird. And I was the only person to really stay in there since I think they had passed. And so we were very respectful, and we went about our day. That room is 100% clean by the time I go to bed that night. Floors are mopped. There's nothing hanging on the walls. There's nothing on the windows. Nothing. I lay down to sleep on a mattress in the room next to the room we just cleared out. So they share a wall. And I lay on my back and I start drifting off to sleep, and I start hearing arguing, like between 2 people. It sounds like 2 men arguing in the next room. I'm by myself in this home. Everything's locked. There's nothing in this house but all my stuff in one room. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's some neighbors or some weird sounds, coming from somewhere else. We have a loud neighborhood out there in Pinedale, California. Shout out. So I start just trying to play it off, and I start feeling sleep paralysis at the same time, which I was very much struggling with. And when you don't know what that is and it's hitting you, you feel like demons are attacking your soul. You hear things, you see things, or I've heard things and seen things. So the arguing happens again, and then I'm getting this sleep paralysis, so I can't really do anything about it. And the arguing gets louder and louder. And now I don't know if I'm sleep paralyzed or scared shitless. Because now it sounds like they're about to fight. And I can't hear anything but muffled voices. Like basically yelling at each other. And as I'm there just kind of in this panic, just trying to breathe it out, like I hear a big boom sound. Imagine dropping a bowling ball. You know how sometimes the ball gets stuck and it'll hit the lane and make that big boom?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that 15-pound bowling ball up in the air, down on the lane as high as you can get it, in my home, in the room next to where I was sleeping, in my grandma's room. The floor is like a linoleum. It's an old wooden house, so you can stomp and hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it boomed through the whole house. And I'm like, at this point, like, I'm gonna die in my mind. I'm definitely gonna die. And it's happens again 2 more times. Finally, I roll myself out of the paralysis. I get up, I grab my baseball bat, I run through the entire house, looking for people, shine the lights outside. There's nothing in the room, there's nothing anywhere. So, go back to bed, close all the doors, lock everything, and it happens again. This time even more intense, and the booms are happening more often. It's almost like somebody's being slammed, like their head's being slammed on the ground, on the floor. And it's like argument, boom. And I'm completely paralyzed now in fear and like just exhaustion. So I end up being able to reach my phone, like turning over to my side and calling the person I was with at the time. And she prayed with me, and I cried, and we prayed until it went away. And it went away eventually. I fell asleep. I woke up the next day, and I sat. My grandma's old rocking chair was still in the living room. I had a hard time getting rid of it. And I sat in that rocking chair, and I had a conversation with her. And I said, "Hey, I'm back. I missed you. I am so sorry I didn't talk to you before I came in here. I'm so sorry I haven't acknowledged you. I'm so sorry I had moved everything without even talking to you about it. Please forgive me. Like, I'd like to stay here, you know?" Yes. And at this time, I was a bit on the religious side, so this stuff wasn't out of the question. And the craziness stopped. The paralysis stopped. The sound stopped. The weird feelings people would get in my house stopped. And then they'd only show up every once in a while when certain things were going down at the house. Until I found a picture of her in storage and put it up in the living room. And from then on, the house has been wonderful, peaceful, and she's only visited 2 more times, and it'd been to kind of like say hi. And I say that because that's what I believe, because that lady was so electric that I'd find it hard to believe that her electricity would be contained to her regular body when she passed away. And so like the other 2, I hope I told that story well enough. It's just my experience, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the other 2 instances were one, both before I put her picture up. But one, I wasn't at the house, but my lady was, and she would stay there. Erin, she would go to the house and during the summers, and she would clean the whole house and just be superwoman like in 3 days. And she would kick it there until I get off of work, and then we'd hang out. And my brother got there one time before I came home from work to hang out with her. We're all going to go somewhere. So he got there early. So they're just talking in the kitchen, and they're like looking at like a song or listening to music or something. And she goes, "Oh, that's official." And my brother goes, "Hell yeah, that's official." And my girl goes, "Yeah, like a ref with a whistle." And then off in the distance, they both hear, and they both look at each other like, "Did you do that?" "No, did you do that?" And then they're like, "Who could have done that?" And they were creeped the hell out. She called me. I got home. They were like, they couldn't even get the words out for a minute, which is something my uncle used to do all the time. My great uncle Tom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He used to put his eyebrows up, and like he used to make us laugh as kids, and he would do that with his hat. And so that happened, and I wasn't there for that. And then the other thing that happened, which I thought was dope, is I now sleep. My bedroom is Grandma T's master bedroom. You know what I mean? Which should be the worst thing ever to do. The room she passed away in, you know, have that be your bedroom. no, it's fine. She's cool. And Erin showed up at the house one summer and cleaned the whole house, rearranged. She redid my studio, like wrapped up all my cables all nicely, like arranged the Xbox games. Like she was killing it. And she's cooking dinner. I'm about to come home from my lunch break. And she said she heard something, but nobody was there. And she looked through the hallway, and a shadow moved out of my old bedroom, across the hall, into my current bedroom, back out, and then just disappeared, she said. And she called me again, like, and I'm like, that's Grandma. I think you got her cosign. Because if you didn't get her cosign, she would have done something different. After that, I put the picture up, and it hasn't been much going on anymore.
So you are 100% you believe in ghosts.
I don't. The term ghost is kind of like vampire or Frankenstein. You know what I mean?
You believe in spirits after death.
I feel like it's electricity, right? Our brains are electricity, like running our bodies. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So what would you think that electricity, like, is that electricity pre our bodies or post our bodies? To use a sound term, meaning, does that electricity exist before our bodies exist, or does it exist like our bodies happen and the electricity is an occurring thing from that?
Well, it depends on if you believe in past lives. Like a lot of people be like, they believe deja vu is like visions of past lives, or they believe, I was a pharaoh in my past life. But if you don't believe that, that means that if you did have electricity that was living already before you came, you would have consciousness of a previous existence. We only have consciousness of this existence.
Yeah.
A lot of scientists will be like, well, that shows that our existence is now. But again, no one knows what happens afterwards. No scientist has been able to do a documented, I died, and then a year later, let me tell you what happened.
I be getting deja vu like crazy too. Constantly.
Yeah. So
what if we're just unharnessed energy? Our current bodies are the vessels that we're in for this moment in time until it moves on to something else. So what if technically going into a new vessel sort of resets the slate? The energy is still there. The energy is still going to be constant.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily take those memories with you.
Well,
I would say that you believe in a soul then.
See,
you believe humans have souls?
Not necessarily. I'm just being hypothetical, but I'm just saying if we're talking about this kind of thing and we're referring to it as energy, like you're saying, Steve, then you would have, by that theory, you would have like a memory of the past or something like that. But what if that's not the case at all? What if it's like a resetting every single time that you jump into a new vessel?
And that I would go with that but when we talk about later on after you die, you come back to places that would mean it doesn't reset because you still have memory of that thing. I am now going back to what I remember.
But Steve, those are the lost souls that haven't crossed over yet.
Lost souls?
Yeah. They're in purgatory.
Oh.
Here's
I don't know. I'm just making
yeah, for me, I think it's just I would have to see. And here's the problem. I probably won't see it because I'm not open to it.
Right.
That's the only reason it's not going to manifest itself to me.
You shut your electricity off to it.
Bingo. I am more like, nope, don't believe it.
And I believe, and this is from, experience and seeing some of my loved ones experience some things that they couldn't explain, like doing things with the Ouija board at a young age, and then them like swearing off of it afterwards. That is a realm in a world that we don't belong on because we haven't graduated yet. So if you go to try to visit that or you disrespect that, they may pay you a visit. And in my opinion, trying to understand that, trying to peg that down is lightweight disrespectful because it's almost like a kid talking among adults type of deal. You know what I mean? Totally, you try to tap into this other energy that you're not even on. You're still trapped in a body. You know what I mean? You're trying to tap into this new electricity that you don't even have the capability to handle.
I would say that here's what I wish. Because I used to mess with Ouija boards and stuff. I hope everyone gets on the level of Daniel. Only because, and this is so meta, but if everyone gets on the level of Daniel and they believe that, hey, these things go to a place where you're not on the level of, I think that might transfer to all living things, and people would have more respect of death and how things die. And maybe that transferred into animals and how we kill them and how we treat them. And if all life is seen as, oh crap, this thing goes on, maybe it would make them more conscious of how they treat them here.
Possible.
And maybe not. Maybe they'll be like, I don't give a daggone what an animal feels after this. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. I'd be like, yeah, that's a human.
Well, there's still negative energy.
But when you look at like Native Americans, the reason that they pray over these animals after they kill them for food is because they believe that spirit goes somewhere. And they sit there and be like, I'm sorry, but I had to do this and thank you for nourishing us. There's a reason they do that. It's a thing because they believe so strongly in how powerful the spirit is and how it still goes. It still goes forward. And so maybe if everyone thought like you, Daniel, that, maybe that would make an effect on how we do that, because we're never going to treat humans better. That's over.
What a compliment.
Those days, what I'm saying, those, but maybe perhaps animals can, being that they're probably going to be here longer than we are. We've already started the clock.
Guys, speaking of ghost stories, guess what? The Halloween show is coming up. Do you have ghost stories? Do you have creepy stories that you want to tell? Hit us up at www.heroesofnoise.com. Go to the voicemail and feel free to leave a story. Freak us out. We want to know because we'll play it on the next episode. Steve, how you doing on time, brother?
I am out of here, ladies and gentlemen. People, I had a great time. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Danathan the Manathan. Had a interesting, expanded conversation about ghosts or lack thereof. I can't wait to have more. Maybe we're going to have to bring Daniel on for a Patreon episode so that we could talk more about apparitions in the sort and energy going forth and backwards. And what are we? What are we in this mortal plane? And what are we after we shed this mortal coil? Anyway, I love you guys. The next voice you're going to be hearing is Danathan and Daniel. Peace.
All right, Daniel, this is that moment where we do at the end of the show where we go like, is there any place that anyone can contact you? Maybe they want to know more about Farooq. Maybe they want to hear some more ghost stories. Where can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. I have so much social networking. I don't know what to do with it. I know that one of the places I usually am is the Heroes of Noise Facebook group. I really enjoy being a part of that. So you could find me on there probably just about every day, reacting or posting stupid memes. You could also find me at The Rockman on Instagram and Twitter, also at VXDEDXV. And if you want to see anything about Farooq, it's at Farooq Mosh, FAROOQMOSH, or just ask my homie Steven from Australia. You could do that too. He knows all about us.
Daniel Dominguez, ladies and gentlemen, give him a round of applause. That's right. Stand up. The man deserves it. He told ghost stories. He reviewed movies. He talked music. He made fun of Steve. Really, what more can you ask for? You know what I'm saying? As for me, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dan Ramirez. For Steve Hudson, for Daniel Dominguez, we are the Heroes of Noise. People, be good to yourselves. Be good to the people around you. Peace.